Leo, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of July. So before I get started, this is going to be most applicable for your rising sign. It is still applicable for your sun sign as well as your moon sign. Your rising sign, just to give you a little bit of context, the rising sign is how other people perceive you, especially the first time they meet you. Your sun sign is how you express yourself, and then your moon sign is really how you process everything through that emotional lens. So it's very subjective. It's just your interpretation of the entire situation. So really listening to all three is going to help you understand how the month will play out for you. Kind of jumping into the energy here of the month, we actually have two full moons in the sign of Capricorn. So we just had one on June 21st, and we're actually going to have another one on July 21st. And this is significant because this doesn't happen all the time. We usually get one per sign per year. So one new moon, one full moon in each sign a year. And this one is significant because it feels, at least from my perspective, it feels like during this 1 month in between the two full moons in the sign of Capricorn, there's a lot of reevaluating structures and just maybe old paradigms, things like that. We also have a lot of major retrogrades happening. We already have Pluto stationing retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. We actually just had Saturn station retrograde in the sign of Pisces on June 29th. And then we'll have Neptune in Pisces as well as Chiron in Aries station retrograde this month. And those are all really significant because the retrograde planets, when it's direct, the energy is definitely outward. When it's retrograde, it's all reflected inward. And so kind of kicking off the month, we have this Neptune station retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And so this is happening just days after Saturn station retrograde, also in the sign of Pisces. And so this is going to happen on the 2nd at 6:40 in the morning Eastern time. And what this means for you is this retrograde energy is really sitting in your 8th house. Your 8th house it's death and rebirth, it's transformation. And so there's a lot of internal reflection taking place. What kind of transformation do you want to undergo? Because Neptune, it's about your goals, it's about your dreams, same as Pisces. And so really focused on that energy. This Neptune retrograde will trine Mercury in the sign of Cancer. So Mercury in Cancer for you is sitting in your 12th house. It's more internal reflection. What are you thinking about? How do you feel about everything? And it's really kind of digging deep into those emotions because that's what the Cancer energy wants you to do. It's like, let's go deep. Mercury, let's go. The more detail, the better. And with that Neptune retrograde, it's a lot of internal reflection around what is it that you want? What are you trying to achieve here? What are your goals for yourself? We'll have this Neptune retrograde sextile the moon in Taurus. The moon in Taurus is sitting in your 10th house of career and public reputation. And so any kind of internal reflection that's taking place around what it is that you want to keep, what it is that you want to let go of, what are you growing through, what is that transformation? It's creating some sort of opportunity for you to feel very grounded in your career, maybe holding on to what you value within your career. This Neptune retrograde will sextile Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So thinking about and focusing on what you value, is there anything here that doesn't belong? That Uranus energy wants to get rid of things. It doesn't want to hold on to anything that doesn't belong here. So when it comes to your career, you're being given an opportunity during this retrograde to really focus on what matters the most to you and get rid of everything else. We'll also have Neptune retrograde sextile Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And so Aquarius energy for you is sitting in your house of one-to-one relationships. Marriage partner, if you're married, not everybody is, not everybody wants to be, but it would be that significant relationship or just in general, those significant relationships, those one-to-one. And so whatever internal reflection is taking place, whomever you want to become, it's creating some sort of opportunity here for you to make changes that also feel very liberating within those significant relationships, within those one-to-one relationships. And then on the 2nd, so same day, just a little bit later, at 8:50 in the morning Eastern time, we will have Mercury enter the sign of Leo. Mercury, again, loves to get into details here, but in the sign of Leo, this is really about leadership style, being bold and dynamic and maybe a little dramatic because that's Leo. But well, it's you, it's your energy. I'm sure you're aware of yourself, but this is really animated, lively type of conversation. And so when this happens, the Mercury in Leo will trine Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so where we saw Mercury in Cancer, some sort of flowing here, about who you wanted to be and all of that kind of internal reflection. Now what you're doing is you're expressing it. You're expressing yourself. It's impacting your physical person. So that Mercury in Leo, you want to speak out loud exactly what it is that you want to do. What kind of growth do you want to undergo? What is your transformation looking like? Who do you want to become? We'll also have Mercury in Leo sextile the moon in Taurus. And what this is doing is now as you start to kind of assert yourself more, be more outspoken around what it is that you want, what it is that just in general, who you want to be, it's creating some sort of opportunity, again, to feel very grounded within your career. It's also going to sextile Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so what changes need to take place or what structures need to be removed in your career in order to feel grounded? We'll also have Mercury in Leo square Chiron in Aries. Chiron in Aries for you is sitting in your 9th house. So Chiron is the wounded healer. Aries is all about taking some sort of action. It's another fire sign. So it's a very interesting combination because you are being very bold and very dynamic and you're asserting yourself out there and really expressing who you are and all of these things. But it's creating some sort of challenge to healing from a wound that might have prevented you from growing in the past. Because this is sitting in your 9th house. And so this might be something where you didn't feel like you were good enough to go back to school or you're not smart enough to do this or something along those lines where it's been holding you back in some sort of way. And so what this is really doing is just highlighting some sort of challenge to the wound. We'll also have Mercury in Leo opposite Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And so asserting yourself is going to be opposite to any kind of changes that are taking place in your significant relationship. So when you think about any kind of structures that need to be torn down, any kind of liberation that needs to be taken here in that relationship, it is going to be opposite. So it's almost like you're very bold, very dynamic, but maybe there's something behind the scenes that you need to do to change your relationship. And so these are just at odds with each other. You can find the happy medium. It does require you to work on it. And then on the 5th at 6:57 in the evening, Eastern time, we'll have the new moon in the sign of Cancer. And so this is where the sun and the moon are at the same degree point in the sky. And the emphasis here is on feelings. How do you feel about everything? And literally everything, because this is sitting in your 12th house. So this is your internal self. This would be how you talk to yourself. How do you feel about yourself? What do you love about yourself? That kind of energy. We'll have the sun and moon conjunct Venus in the same sign. And so really emphasizing here what you value about yourself. What do you want to, I was going to say explore. And so explore might be the right word, but what is it that you want to bring together? Is there something internally to you where you need to do something where, I don't know, maybe bringing ideas together, this Cancer energy. So there's this emphasis on what you value and what you love and kind of nurturing that. So kind of think of it that way. What do you want to grow within yourself? We'll also have the sun and moon trine Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And so working on yourself internally around any kind of transformation that's taking place. So when you think about, this is 12th house, 8th house, this is all internal energy. This new moon is really blending with whatever transformational work that you're doing. So when you think about, okay, what do I value about myself? What do I want to grow about myself? That's also part of that transformation that is taking place. And so it's all really positive and really kind of feeding off of each other to help you kind of evolve into the person you want to be. We'll also have the sun and moon sextile Mars in the sign of Taurus. And so this new moon and really aligning with how you feel about yourself, nurturing yourself, that self-care energy, it's creating some sort of opportunity for you to take action in your career. Quite literally taking action. And then we'll also have the sun and moon square Chiron in Aries. And so again, this new moon energy, it's creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to whatever wound is coming to the surface. And if there's been something where you've held yourself back because you always believed something to be a certain way, that would be a wound that's coming to the surface. Like, I don't know. I am not worthy of a type of career, so therefore I'm not going to go to school and get the degree in it, or I'm just not smart enough to get the degree anyway, or anything along those lines. Those are all 9th house energies. And so there could be some sort of wound connected to that, some sort of growth or expansion. Maybe you didn't feel like this was something that you could accomplish, and that would be an insecurity that would be coming to the surface. And so it's not just that this new moon is going to square Chiron in the sign of Aries. We also have the North Node in the sign of Aries, which means we have the South Node in the sign of Libra. And this new moon is actually going to square both of those energies. And the North Node is all about the actions that you need to take. So when it comes to Chiron and Aries, North Node and Aries, what actions do you need to take? Because there's something here, there's some sort of lesson that you need to explore. Again, with the word explore. So we'll see what comes up here. But it's also going to square the South Node in Libra. So any kind of balanced communication. If you felt like things were okay, that things were going well, it's almost like, well, but did you understand everything fully? Because the sun and moon in Cancer, it's focused on your feelings and everything around that. And then internally, what do you feel? And how is it that maybe you thought things were a certain way, but they're not? Because that third house is about communication. It's also how you process information. And so it's creating obstacles and challenges in both of these houses. And then on the 11th, we'll have Venus enter the sign of Leo. So that's going to happen at 12:19 in the afternoon Eastern time. And this Venus and Leo energy, it's sitting in your first house. It's who you are. It's, again, focused here on what you value about yourself. What do you love about yourself? Venus does rule love and relationships, and this is a lot about your relationship with yourself. It's trine Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So when you think about the transformation that you want to undergo, how does it all blend together? How do you kind of take what you value about yourself and grow and expand it? We'll also have this Venus in Leo sextile the moon in the sign of Virgo. Virgo for you, second house energy. So this is all about your personal finances, the things that you value. Whatever it is that you feel, whatever it is that you value about yourself, it's creating some sort of opportunity for you to do something related to your finances that you're going to feel really good about. Virgo energy likes to process information. It's also a healing type of energy. And so there might be something connected to that. We'll also have Venus in Leo sextile Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so kind of focusing on what you value about yourself creates opportunities for change within your career. But this is a grounded type of change. This is a removing of any kind of obstacle or challenge or some sort of barrier that existed. We will have Venus in Leo square Chiron and Aries. And so when it comes to wounds around your growth, focusing on what you value about yourself, it almost like irritates them in a way. It triggers them in some sort of way. And so it's preventing you from actually doing something to heal the wound, at least at this point. Later in the month, you're going to see that that actually gets better. We'll also have Venus in Leo opposite Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And so when it comes to you, your first house, this is who you are, again, focused here, what you value about yourself. It is opposite to any kind of internal changes that are taking place in your house of one-to-one relationships. And so if there's some sort of a barrier that's been removed or needs to be removed, this would be an internal barrier to that relationship. It does feel like there is this push-pull energy. You can work through it. It's not going to be detrimental. It's definitely something that you can work through. And then on the 20th, we'll have Mars enter the sign of Gemini. So that's going to happen at 4:43 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so when Mars enters the sign of Gemini, Mars is the planet of action. Gemini is communication. It's also processing information, but at that really detailed level. So when you think about the actions that you take, you're going to be very informed around not just the details of it, but how it's going to impact you. And for you, that energy is sitting in your 11th house of friends. And so this Mars in Gemini will trine Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And so any kind of actions that you take as they relate to your friends, it's going to blend with whatever internal transformation you want for yourself. So really aligning that energy. This Mars in Gemini will also sextile the moon in Virgo. And so when you think about just what actions you're taking with your group of friends, what it is that you want to do here, it's going to create some sort of opportunity for you to maybe get grounded in your finances. Healing in your finances could be something like finding a way to spend less on things or something along those lines. I'm not getting another hypothetical, but that's the second time I've gotten that one, so I'm going to say it out loud. This Mars in Gemini energy will also sextile Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so the actions that you take within your group of friends, it's going to create an opportunity for you to remove structures within your career and public reputation that have maybe held you back in some sort of way here. We'll also have this Mars in Gemini square Chiron in the sign of Aries. And so again, actions within your group of friends, your community, it's creating some sort of obstacles to healing your own growth, whatever wounds are connected to that. And then we'll also have Mars in Gemini opposite Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And so whatever actions you're taking within your community, again, very informed, very detailed, you understand the impact. It's opposite to the changes that are taking place within your significant relationship here. So it is that push-pull energy. Again, you can find the happy medium. You just have to work with it. And then on the 21st, we have the second full moon in the sign of Capricorn. So that one's going to happen at 6:17 in the morning Eastern time, 1 month after the last one. And where this impacts you is 6th house, 12th house energy. So we've got your daily life. So this would be the life that you live on a regular basis versus that internal reflection of who you are, that subconscious self. And so the moon in Capricorn is really focused on the structures that you've created for yourself, the strategy that you've gone after in your daily life, what you want for yourself, those goals that you set for yourself. That is Capricorn energy. And it's going to be opposite about whatever it is that you're holding on to internally, whatever you want to value or do value about yourself. That Sun energy, Cancer energy, nurturing something internally here. So it is kind of a push-pull. It's these structures are somehow preventing you from really focusing on your feelings or allowing you to kind of move through that energy. We will have the moon in Capricorn trine Mars in the sign of Gemini. And so Mars in the sign of Gemini, again, going back to your friends, the actions that you're taking within your friendships, it does blend with the life that you've already built for yourself. Whatever the structure is, whatever routine that you have developed for yourself, it just blends. Now the Sun in Cancer will create opportunities for you to take additional action as it relates to your friends. So when you really focus here on what it is that you value about yourself, nurturing about yourself, how do you feel, maybe spending some time alone is going to allow you to take additional actions as it relates to your friends. We'll also have the moon in Capricorn square Chiron in Aries. So there's something about the structures that you have in place right now in your daily life that are creating challenges to healing some sort of wound connected to your growth. And that's typical. And so we have these wounds. And so rather than necessarily addressing them, what we do is we build this life around not having to address them. That's the kind of energy that is showing up here. But it won't be forever. When Chiron stations retrograde at the end of the month, you'll see. Then we'll also have the moon here trine Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so this 10th house energy, it is structures that need to come down. Uranus is more than that though. So there might be situations here that need to be changed in order for you to feel grounded and solid within your career. But this moon in Capricorn, so it's like these structures that you've put in place in your daily life are aiding you with whatever changes are happening within your work environment or your public reputation. The Sun in Cancer will create an opportunity for more changes to take place here. And so where with the moon, it's a very easy blend of that energy. Here, it is more of creating the opportunity to make some additional changes. And that Sun in Cancer, because it is sitting in your 12th house, this might be a really good time to maybe take that break, step away from other people, kind of sit in solitude, be alone, think things through. And that seems to be one of the ways in which you can kind of seize these opportunities, really kind of benefit from them, is taking that time. We'll also have the moon in Capricorn, a sextile Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And so this is about, again, how you feel about your daily life. It's creating some sort of opportunity for transformation within you and to become the person that you want to be. We'll have the Sun in Cancer trine that energy. So now expressing yourself or spending some time alone in a way that really nurtures who you are, that self-care, it's going to blend with that internal transformation that you want to make. This isn't something that you're going to have to act on. It's something that's going to happen. Whereas with the moon, this does require some sort of action. We'll also have the moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And so again, when it comes to your daily life, it's going to blend with whatever is happening within your significant relationship, whatever internal changes are taking place. This is an easy blend of energy because it's really an overlapping type of energy here. So you might have built your daily life with that person in mind, with this evolution of the relationship there. Whereas the sun in Cancer is going to be opposite this energy. It's going to be opposite Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. It's not going to be, That's interesting. Only because it is the full moon, and I'm just like second guessing this. Only because we are about to have the sun enter the sign of Leo here, and so there's a lot of internal reflection on you and spending a lot of alone time. There is an impact here to this relationship that you're going through or that you're in. There's something really significant about this. And it's funny because I'm very hung up on that right now. There's something about this relationship. Whatever you're doing, whatever alone time that you're experiencing right now, opposite. Are you second guessing any kind of changes that are taking place within your relationship here? Is there something about this? Because this Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius is about your internal changes. And I don't know why I just all of a sudden got very hung up on this, but it's definitely something to kind of think about. Again, it's a push-pull energy. You can work with this energy, this opposition energy. You just have to find that happy medium, but it is possible. Then the sun enters your sign. So that's going to happen at 3:45 in the morning on the 22nd, where the sun enters the sign of Leo. It's also the ruler of your sign. And here, what you're going to see is you just being very bold, being very much your Leo self. And that's going to blend with that Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So whatever it is that you're doing, keep doing. However it is that you feel about yourself, do it, because it's blending with whatever changes you want to make for yourself, that internal transformation, those goals that you have for who you want to be. We'll also have the sun in Leo sextile Mars in the sign of Gemini. And so really creating an opportunity here for you to take some sort of action in your group of friends, being you, being brave, stepping out, just kind of being that outgoing type of person. It's going to create opportunities for you to do something within your group of friends. It's also going to create opportunities for you at work as well. It's going to sextile Uranus and Taurus sitting in your 10th house. And if there's changes that need to be made within your career, this is a really good time to make those changes because you are kind of being assertive. I want to say like being the life of the party, but that's not really applicable at a work scenario unless you're an event planner of some sort. But it's more about just asserting yourself, being brave, feeling that confidence does help you make some changes here. And then we just saw it the day before, but we'll see it again. So the sun in Leo opposite Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And so there's something about you being brave that's opposite to the changes that are taking place within your relationship. And it's more about your perception of the relationship because this is coming up again, where Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, if there were obstacles and challenges here within this connection, this Aquarius energy wants to liberate you from those. It wants to liberate you from any kind of structures that may have held you back in some sort of way. And so there's something about being brave that is opposite those changes that are taking place here. And it almost feels more like a comfort zone type of energy versus anything else because we saw the internal changes and now we're seeing that outward reflection of those as well. And then on the 25th, we'll have Mercury enter the sign of Virgo. So that happens at 6:42 in the evening Eastern time. And so Mercury rules the sign of Virgo. Mercury in Virgo for you is your second house, and it will trine Chiron in Aries. And the really important thing to kind of focus on here, this Mercury energy, specifically within Virgo, it's a very healing type of energy. And so now you're starting to see where you're given this kind of blend of energies like, okay, well, this is giving me some sort of opportunity, or in this case, it's aiding any kind of healing of a wound that's coming to the surface. It could be focusing on what you value about yourself or about maybe what you have, that second house energy that is giving you some sort of, it's some sort of aid really in Chiron and Aries, this ninth house energy. So whatever wound is coming to the surface that maybe prevented your growth, there's something maybe connected to your finances. So thinking finances, higher education, this could be something with your finances that kind of aid you in your growth here, maybe long distance travel. There could be something connected to that, something that maybe requires money, and really focusing here on what you value just blends with it. This Mercury in Virgo energy will also square Mars in Gemini. And so when you think about what you value about your finances, things like that, it is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to any kind of action that you want to take within your community or your group of friends. So this could be something along the lines of, if we are focused on maybe higher education, maybe spending less time with friends or not going out as much because you're trying to save money to do something here to really kind of heal this wound, maybe go back to school or travel more, something along those lines. We'll also have Mercury in Virgo square Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so again, really thinking through your finances, what you value, it is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to whatever changes are taking place within your career. I'm trying to think of a really good hypothetical there. It could be something where maybe you've set these investment goals for yourself or these savings goals for yourself, and now there's something happening within your work that now you're not able to save as much money, or you have to do it in a different way. Then on the 26th, we'll have Chiron station retrograde in the sign of Aries. So that's going to happen at 9:59 in the morning Eastern time. And when Chiron stations retrograde, this is about wounds coming to the surface. These would be hidden wounds coming to the surface. But in the sign of Aries does require you to take some sort of action here. And so there's a lot of emphasis this year on healing wounds coming to the surface. And so right away, when Chiron stations retrograde, it's actually going to be conjunct the moon in the sign of Aries. So it's not just about these wounds that are coming to the surface, but you're really going to understand the depths of maybe the impact to you and how they affect you, and maybe what actions do you need to take in order to overcome these wounds here. This Chiron retrograde will also trine Mercury in the sign of Aries. And so again, really thinking through what it is that you need to do here. So with Moon, Mercury, you feel it, you understand it, and now what do you want to do about it? Because we also have Chiron retrograde trine Venus in Leo. And so this is where really focusing on what you value about yourself does help you kind of heal this wound. It's giving you this opportunity, and I say opportunity, but really it's a blend of energy. So whatever action that you're taking to heal some sort of old wound, could be old beliefs that you've had about yourself, holding yourself back in some sort of way, it is going to blend with whatever you value about yourself. So there is an opportunity here, again, to heal. Chiron retrograde will also square Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And so these hidden wounds coming to the surface as they surround your growth, or maybe old belief systems that you've had in place, it's creating some sort of challenge to the changes that are happening within your significant relationship here. It's almost like you have made some of these changes, but maybe you didn't go far enough in those changes because there's a wound coming to the surface. In some way, you've always held yourself back from going after what you wanted. That would be the wound that you need to heal, and it is connected to your growth. But it is a square, so it is something that you can work through. So Leo, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.